Bubba built it.
Yeah. I'm just jealous of your Who's Who American Business nomination.
Yeah, I mean, why did I get it and not you, though? That's the question.
I don't know. Because I am Lord Business.
Yeah, I mean, I should point that out.
Yeah, you should.
Actually, I need to call her back.
Yeah, the number's on the caller ID. All right, guys.
Hi, everybody.
So, today, part 2 of Ruckus Truck. But before we get into that, we just had something come in the mail. It's pretty awesome.
We've not even seen what it looks like yet.
Yeah, let's just take a look, see what this is. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. This.
Oh, I'm loving it already.
Here you go. That one's yours, I believe.
Is it?
Yeah, you got the red
Double
one.
X.
Oh,
check it out.
Man.
Merch.
Horse Force t-shirts. Woo! Make your friends all jelly.
All right.
Pick some up. Go to our website.
Pretty sweet,
and
actually.
we'll have the link right there. I guess we're going to talk about. I think we should talk.
We left off last time. We were talking about the one of the things that we wanted to expound upon more was the backstory.
Yeah.
And of course, we're talking about the whole idea behind this thing is that it set a world speed record, right?
Right. Totally tongue in cheek, but
no,
what if?
No.
Yeah.
So when you think of world speed record, generally we think of Bonneville salt flats, think of straight line performance, straight line speed. Yeah. But there are other types of speed competition.
Sustained speeds, average speed over duration, how many miles you've traveled.
Which is like an endurance speed, basically. Yeah. So in 1990, the Corvette ZR1 set the endurance speed record that has stood for, I think, 50 years, a long time.
Yeah.
And we have the actual specs. We'll probably put it up there for you, but I think it was like 176 miles an hour average for 24 hours.
Yeah, well, actually, they ended up going more than that.
Because they wanted to go to the 5,000 mile mark.
They wanted to go 5,000 miles, and they did that in 28 hours.
Yeah. So it was
kind of a crazy thing.
It was a fantastic thing, yeah.
Yeah, you should definitely read more about the story, but here they are. Is at the Firestone Proving Ground, right?
That's right. It's a 3-mile test track, and I think it still exists. It's in Texas.
Yeah.
It's in a little town in Texas,
anyway.
What is it? Fort Collins?
No, it's definitely not Fort Collins. We'll put it up there. You'll see it. It's like right here.
Well, we did with the backstory. We were really trying to flesh it out. We had like a news story from the newspaper of the little town, and anyway, so this all came about because we were at the Corvette Museum some years ago, and we saw this, and I remembered that Corvette from when I was a kid. Right? We saw it at the National Corvette Museum, and it's this really cool. You can tell it was purpose built.
Yeah, it did not get swallowed by the sinkhole.
No, it did not. It's one of the ones that missed out on that. Yeah. So it's like the EDS. There were 2 of them, I think.
Yes,
right? But
they built 2.
This is the red and the blue one, and the story always fascinated me. So with our backstory, we said we're gonna say that our truck set out to set the endurance speed record, and then it did. It did it in 1988. And we've got the speeds and the specs and the story of how he did it and all that. And of course, it's not real. But the idea was, again, that it set the record. Yep. The Corvette came along 2 years later and beat it.
Of course.
Because it's a ZR1, of course it did. But it's still the world's fastest truck. Now, the fun, cool thing about that, to me, is all the aerodynamic aids and the things that go into a car like that. And the same thing on the ZR1, where they taped up the headlights or the little turn signals at the bottom.
Yeah, they removed the rearview mirrors on it, too.
Yeah, right. And they even had like scouts to keep the deer off the track, right?
Yeah,
it was like a big deal.
They put ultrasonic
those little
whistles on it to keep, hopefully, anything from getting on the track.
Because the 24 hours, it included fuel stops and everything. And can you imagine an average speed of 176 miles an hour for 24 hours?
At night? In the dark?
That means sustained speeds of 180 plus, 190.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. Anyway,
yeah, very crazy.
So the truck, we're like, let's make it like it was a land speed endurance. And so, of course, aerodynamics is a big part of that. And one of the things also, of course, it just looks cool and fun. And let's get back to that part, right? All of our builds, they have the same thing in common.
Yeah, it needs to look like a toy, something you would have wanted to play with when you were a kid.
Because we're just grown-up kids. I used to have this concept when I was a kid that when I was an adult, I'd be just different. I'm not. I'm the same person.
You would end up having a pipe, sitting there with the newspaper.
Wait, I do have a pipe.
In a bathrobe.
Right, yeah. You have a smoking jacket, right.
You're not.
Anyway, you get this idea that what an adult is, and then you grow up and you're just like, I'm just still me. But so that's why we like toys, right? And so if it's something that looks like we could play with it in 1/64th or 1/18th scale or whatever, then we've done our job. So one of the things we wanted to do was put these big extractors on the hood.
Yeah.
Because I think that the heat extractors are just so cool.
Yeah.
And if one louver is cool, then 50 louvers is better, right?
Yeah, right. And then out the side.
Yeah, so
right behind the front tires.
So again, if you're going to have a situation that's a disadvantage, turn it to your advantage. And so in this particular situation, we had no doors.
No doors.
So
it's kind of awkward. There's just blank slate right there.
Well,
what are we going to do?
What are we going to do with it? And we thought, man, let's put some mega heat extractors. So if you look at this thing, we cut way up into the door area and put these big louver extractors,
like gills,
and big gills on the hood. Yeah. And we just use the stock. Hood skin.
Yeah.
Let's just see if we can do this.
Taped it out, and then just
taped it out, cut it out with the wheel of death, like it's our favorite tool.
Yep.
And then
drop them down.
Let it drop down, and then just weld it in little triangles where and it not only and that was just, and that's the other thing about this thing. Did we talk about the hood hinges before on the other videos?
I don't think we did.
This is a really cool trick, and if you guys haven't seen this before or noticed it, it's something that we'd like to share with you. Hood hinges are a mega pain in the rear on a build, especially something like this, because they're really bulky, they're really heavy, and they're difficult to engineer. But years ago, we noticed on NASCAR bodies, they have this little triangle of metal that's welded on the outer edges of the hood, and a little piece of metal to come up and catch it, and that's the hood hinge. And out there at the edge, it's very strong. So that's what we did on this too. We did the same thing. We just welded up the little triangle of metal on the edge of the hood, and it's just one bolt. It's super elegant and simple.
Very simple.
But yet it works really well. So we had this. We'd already cut down the inside of the hood out, right?
Yeah.
And so there's just the hood skin, and anyway, any hood can be done this way, any metal hood, and it's really a cool way to do it. And just cut the reliefs, let it drop down, and then just fill it in.
Yeah, and then we've got those NASCAR hinge hood supports, right?
Yeah, that's another cool thing. So you can buy these for about 40 or 50 bucks. They're salvage, but they're these really nice lightweight aluminum strut hinges. And what they really do is when you lift it up, they come up with it, and they lock into place. And then to release them, you just push in on them, and they just drop down. So you're not having to fumble around with trying to have some kind of a prop rod or something like that.
Yeah.
And so that was another really cool, elegant solution. Racing, and that gets us back to, racing is all about necessity, right? It's about solving a problem, just solving problems.
Yeah.
And so we pay attention to that, and we've adopted a lot of those things in our builds, and it makes for an elegant solution.
Yeah, it was pretty neat when we got inside there and we started cutting all the NASCAR stuff off. They had all these nice little pieces of metal coming out and just catching different points of the fender and the body and stuff.
Little half-inch round tube risers with a little platform on them for bolting them on.
So we just sliced those things off and used them where we needed them, because we didn't need them everywhere like we used to. But yeah, I mean, it was very, very beneficial for us. And like he's saying, it's all about necessity, and everything you need, nothing you don't.
Yeah, so when you're doing these kind of builds, you're almost having to pluck an answer out of infinity sometimes, and it's really good to have some ready ideas, some ideas at the ready that you've seen, and racing is some of the best ones, because they have to be efficient, they have to be effective, and no frills.
Yeah,
exactly. Right.
Yeah,
so that's the front of it, and we just almost couldn't be happy with how it turned out. One of the things, again, is this idea of the juxtaposition of the stock pieces with these crazy aero pieces, right? And so you got this broad shoulders of the wide body. And did we already talk about how we did the wide body on this one?
No, we haven't discussed that at all, really.
So on Horse Force, if you'd watched the other videos, we kind of did the streamlined wide body on that. That's sort of the Coke bottle effect. And this one is a little bit more box flare. And so what we did is took the original pieces and we built out conduit. And it's the same thing that, again, you saw in the other video. We take a half-inch conduit, and if you buy it brand new, it's cheap, but we have a lot of old conduit from doing tear-outs in our buildings and things. Anyway, we bent the conduit to be the framework, and just took the original panels, cut them loose, and welded them back on, and then made little cap pieces. And the same thing that we talked about last time with taking the English wheel and just running that strip through the English wheel, give it a little bit of crown, a lot of strength, and that really. And you'll see pictures of the front and the rear and how we box flared all this thing in. And we didn't buy any sheet metal.
No.
It's the same thing with Horse Force. We took old shelving units that we had and old light fixtures. Light fixtures are a wealth of sheet metal. And And that's how we did it without really buying any extra sheet metal. The other thing though, let's talk about is the rear. I was pleased with how that turned out.
Man, we're getting already to that?
Well, what did I skip?
I don't know. It seems like there's a lot.
Oh, we didn't talk about wheels and tires.
Yeah, we really haven't talked about that. Let's talk about that.
Wheels and tires. Yeah, because that's really the thing that we should have. We got a little cart ahead of the horse.
Yeah.
You're not going to build your box flares without knowing where your tires are, and this was actually a big hurdle with this job, but with this build, because it's a NASCAR chassis, and NASCAR chassis have extra thick lug nuts, and they get this 5-on-5 bolt pattern, which nowadays is kind of rare. It actually was the OBS truck bolt pattern all the way up until I think '98.
Yeah.
On the two-wheel drives. But we found these really classic 5-spoke designs. I don't even think they make these anymore.
Yeah, it's a company called
Vision wheel.
They're actually here in Alabama.
Yeah, I really hate that they don't make this wheel because
they're not making it.
Yeah, because it is such a cool, clean 5-spoke design.
Yeah.
It had that really cool
Didn't look like
DTM
something
kind of look.
RoboCop pooped out.
Yeah, look, these wheels, a lot of these wheels that they sell for trucks, we're just not a big fan because it's like they can't make it more ornate, and it's like piling crap on top of crap, and then we talk about like RoboCop's stool samples. So,
Yeah.
I mean, but anyway, so these wheels were the really great aggressive offset, and we had to buy a special thin wall lug nut
Yeah.
to fit. Because the wheels had a lot of aftermarket wheels have these deep insets for the holes, and so we had to buy we had to use a thin wall socket, but it all works.
Yeah,
and so we have this really cool sort of road racing look, and this not really clean 5-spoke wheel design, and really this really wide, bulky platform. And that's another thing. So the tires are really the hardest thing, and so. The specific tire, and we used it on several builds, is a 305/50/20, and it has just got really good meatiness to it, but at the same time, they're not all that terribly expensive. I think these are
readily available.
Yeah, I think these were Federals, and I think that they're $700 for a set, so it's not crazy.
It was not bad at all.
Right, and they also wear really well. So
yeah, and we went with some 22s on the Scottsdale SS.
Too big. I really like a 20.
No, yeah, the 20 is really a sweet spot on this.
It is. We went 22s.
A lot more comfortable ride.
Yeah, it was just bigger to be bigger. It didn't make sense.
Right.
Anyway, so we have the wheel and tire package.
And it's square, all four.
Yes, which is if you can do it, it's really the best way to go.
Absolutely.
So I think we have a picture of the truck sitting on there just with the wheels and tires, and and we're starting to get this idea, and it's starting to play roller skate. It's like, well, this is really the proportion that we're wanting. So then we got to cover all this, right? We talked about the front. Now let's talk about. Well, and we talked about we did the rear. So it's these box layers with inlets and outlets.
We're at 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
We gotta stop.
Well, let's just talk about the tailgate and the diffuser, and then we're done.
All right.
Okay.
Real quick.
We wanted an operational tailgate because we had this extra space back there, and it was already covered.
And we've already got the OBS.
Yeah. So and this is again a testament to how they had to be pretty accurate. So we cut it off about a foot from the back, the NASCAR body, and grafted in the actual stock piece right to it, and everything lined up. And we had a working tailgate.
Yeah. And we've got a little trunkette back there, big enough to put a set of golf clubs.
Yeah, which we don't do.
We don't golf.
No.
But hey, that's like the gold standard.
It is the gold standard. You can put 2 golf clubs.
Yeah, you can put 2 sets of golf clubs back there.
And then the other thing is we had this open area underneath, and we could have done a simple roll pan or anything. But once again, if you're presented with a problem, do something. Use that as an opportunity to do something unique.
Yeah, we talked about doing the bumper, putting the bumper back.
We did,
and that would have been cool.
That would have been cool. Put a hitch on it. That would have been cool too. Like,
would this have fit as well with our story?
Not with the road racing. So. Yeah, not with the world speed record. So we took conduit and bent, and I think we have a picture of this.
Yeah.
We bent all the curves the same way. I think we did like 5 of them. And made a framework out of conduit, and then skinned it with the sheet metal, and then built these blades, diffuser blades, out of that same hardboard like we were talking about before. Yeah, this stuff is great. By the way, it's like $45 a sheet. Really lightweight. Anyway, so we built this thing to tuck right up in there, and it's almost like a complete flat bottom now, all the way. It goes all the way up to the rear end, and it gave us that extra detail look.
It looks really cool.
Yeah, so I think we have a good shot of that from behind, but it's like the final detail. So aerodynamics played a big part, and And we've had that truck to, you know, high speeds, and it's
Oh, yeah.
very stable. Of course, it was a NASCAR chassis, but anyway, so I guess next time, what are we talking about next time?
Next time we'll finish out the rear, talking about flaring that out. We've got some wiring and some other challenges inside.
And the livery and how
Yeah,
we
the
painted
livery,
that,
painted
and then Power Tour, which is what it was all about.
Right. Awesome. Well, hey guys, might not be dropping a video next week just because we are going to be on Power Tour. If we do, it'll probably be a very short one. If you haven't had the opportunity, please take it now and go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you turn notifications on. Give us a like. Tell us what you like, what you don't like.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.